So everybody, welcome. Thanks for being here. This is another week of social media training for Team Eagle. We're going to have tonight and then next week, and that should wrap it up. But if you have any questions, as you know, I'll connect you with how to get in touch with me at the end of the presentation, and I'll be happy to field any questions that come out of tonight or any past presentation that was recorded. So tonight, we're going to really be focusing on Twitter conversation and engaging on the platform. So we want to look at this element of conversation. We want to look at prospecting. We also want to get a bead on who our audience is. All right, so let's take a look at that. So first stop is going to be our Twitter analytics platform. So Twitter actually does give us a lot of good information about who our audience is and what their interests are. This is something that Twitter used to keep reserved for only mega brands and mega clients, and they released it to everybody about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. To access it, this is primarily on desktop, but you come up to the top of your screen when you're looking at Twitter on your desktop, hit your profile, and then hit analytics. If the analytics button is not here, you can try to trick the system. Make sure you're logged into Twitter and then just type analytics.twitter.com and see if it brings up your information. Now, last bullet point there. If you are new to Twitter or you only have 9 followers, you are not going to have analytics yet because you don't have enough of a data set for them to provide this for you. But grow your account a little bit and it'll pop up. So let's hop over here to Twitter and go ahead and hit this and show you how this works. Live example here. So I'm hitting on my profile icon and we're going to go to analytics. Now, there are elements of what I'm going to show you that are available on mobile, but it's on a tweet by tweet basis and it doesn't show you global trends like this, like I'm about to show you. So we're going to go to analytics and we've got a couple of things on the home screen here that I think are pretty helpful. So first of all, it gives us a 28-day summary compared to the previous same amount of time. Okay, so over the last 28 days, we've sent this many tweets, which is down compared to the previous session. It tells us our impressions. So impressions is a metric that Twitter keeps track of that has to do with readership and eyeball count. Okay, so remember, your messages get viewed, get read, get seen by way more people than actually engage with them, that take the time to like the posts or to retweet them. So that's an important note to keep track of, and this is not something that they tell you on your home screen. So you got to see your analytics to see actual readership of your messages, and it's always way, way higher than your engagements. Next thing is profile visits. I think we've mentioned this before, but make sure you have a good-looking profile because people do click on your icon and come to see you, and they come to see who you are and what you have to say. And if you have a less of a professional looking or not filled out profile, then they're less likely to engage with you or follow you. But this tells you how many times people have actually visited your profile. Ours is way down over the previous month. I need to work on that. Mentions is how many times somebody has actually tweeted at you, and then of course your follower growth here. So then they break it down month by month into a nice little data set here. So it tells you your top tweet, tells you how many eyeballs you had on it, tells you how much engagement you got on that particular tweet. It tells you your top mention. So Geraldo is a celebrity fitness trainer I've been back and forth with. And so he's my top engagement because he has, I don't know, 100,000 followers. Then it tells me who my top follower is for the month based on their follower count. So Pilo contacted me. He's a professional, or excuse me, he followed me. He's a professional photographer. And then it tells you your top media tweet. I don't know necessarily how they always distinguish this between this and this, but top media tweet means it includes an image or something. And then here's your summary for the month. And it does this month by month, going back as far as your account exists. Okay, so this is a really nice overview of how things are going. And I think it's interesting to check in on. Now, if you come up here and click tweets, this is going to tell you actually on a tweet by tweet basis how many people came and did a couple of things. So you can tell your impressions count by tweet. So this is kind of interesting to just scroll through and see, well, what caught the most people's eye? So we're averaging 90 to 100. But if something sparks a little bit more of attention, then, well, we know it had a picture, slowed people down to read it. This is a pretty big spike here. So this is obviously a hashtag. March is National Nutrition Month, so a lot of good info coming out around that, and attention to that hashtag. So that's something to use. And so, you can just kind of take a glance at these and see what's been going on with readership. Then this column is engagements. So engagements is not just likes and retweets. It's also clicks. It's if you have a picture and somebody clicks on to expand it, that's considered an engagement. So overall, this keeps a running tally. Now the engagement rate, bless you, Daisy. The engagement rate is something that is very important to pay attention to. And the reason is because the average engagement rate on Twitter is 0.1%. Okay, so that means 99.9% of all the tweets on Twitter receive no engagement whatsoever. So when you're running an engagement rate of 1.8%, that is actually really spectacular. Anything over 1%, you're crushing Twitter's averages. So, the big brands, Coca-Cola, we run Match.com, all their social at Edge Theory. Their engagement rates are like 3.5%, 4%. So don't expect this to be like Facebook where it's like 35%. That just doesn't happen on Twitter. People move too fast. But when you have good content, it can spike on some days, 5.5%, 4.5%. You can look at these tweets. These engagement rates are really, really strong. And that's a great thing. So you're doing something right and you're catching your audience's attention if you're running a strong engagement rate. Then you have link clicks. So this is a nice metric as well, especially if Soundboard is tweeting for you, because oftentimes, remember, we tweet out the link to your Juice Plus site. And this tells you how many click-throughs you're getting on the links that you're publishing. Now, some Soundboard messages, remember, are articles. So this does not mean 43 clicks to your Juice Plus site. But the large bulk of these clicks, whatever is here, are click-throughs to your Juice Plus site. Of course, we can't tell you from Edge Theory's perspective what happens to that visitor after they get there. We can just tell you that they got there, or Twitter can just tell you that they got there. Then, of course, you got retweets, likes, and replies, which are, the typical engagement. Now, next thing that is super helpful, okay, sweetie, is audiences. So audiences, you got follower growth. So, they'll tell you the past 30 days what's been happening to your account. But then this is where it starts really get interesting. You have interests. What other things are people interested in that follow you? Now, keep in mind, this is your follower base. All right, so you've got, of course, the gender of your followers. So mine are overwhelmingly female. And they're also interested in some topics. Shh, you gotta be quiet if you stay in here. You gotta be quiet. You gotta be quiet, sweetie. So these topics that people are interested in are, we got all kind of visitors with us tonight here. Got the cats, got the twins. Say hi, Rose.
Hi.
That's Rose. All right, now you gotta be quiet, okay? So the topic that stands out to me of something that I want to revisit for my audience is this one, health, mind, and body. All right, the rest of this stuff, business, finance, music, news, obviously these are not things that I'm going to be speaking about through the Juice Plus Helper handle. But this is something I definitely want to be paying attention to. Also, I want to pay attention to my audience because I want to know how to speak. Obviously, I can be talking about pregnancy-related things or healthy breastfeeding tips or things like that that are more female-centric, and I know I'm not missing the mark on those. Also, I have a larger married audience. So same kind of idea. I find this to be helpful in some regards. I've got some homemakers, self-employed, health services. So that's also, I think, interesting. But then this gets really interesting to me, I think, because it tells me, and I don't necessarily know how Twitter knows this, but it says consumer buying styles here. Okay, so consumer buying styles are supposedly the way that people make purchases, but check out what they're interested in: premium brands. But they've specified it to people who shop premium and high-end brands across the grocery store. Okay, so I know people don't care about how much their groceries cost as long as it's quality stuff. People are interested in buying fresh and healthy, fresh produce, fresh meat. They're interested in home cooking and grilling, quick and easy, which has to do with food. Now, of course, with my audience, I would hope that that means not fast food, but it means, quick and easy meals. This is Lily. All right, girls, you got to be quiet. A lot of visitors tonight. And then ethnic explorers, which is not necessarily what you'd assume it to be, which is a wide range of international foods. Okay, so my huge amount of food interests. So I know I need to be talking about healthy food, healthy cooking all the time. Okay, super important to my audience. Less helpful, of course, is what platform or what wireless carrier they have. But there just is some good data here. You can drill down into some of this and see. Now, again, depending on the size of your account, depending on the size of your account, not all these tabs are always available, but you can get some more information out of these as you can find it. And some of it may be helpful and some of it may not. But the lifestyle, again, I find very helpful, and the interests. Okay, so all that can be found within Twitter Analytics as provided by the desktop platform. All right, so that's kind of the monthly analysis. We took a look at that. Now, prospecting on the platform. How do we want to grow? How do we want to build our audience, and also hopefully turn our audience into potential customers? All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, well, we talked about that too, the audience stuff on the analytics platform. The next thing I want to talk about is lists. So lists on Twitter are not as widely used as I would think they would be, but they're one of the most helpful things that you can do for yourself, especially if you are trying to consume content on the Twitter platform. Okay, so what a list does is when you create a list, you can create them topically, and it lets you put the accounts that you follow into a list and arrange them that way, so that when you want to consume information on Twitter, you do not have to just go to your home feed and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Because if you're following 800 or 900 or 1,000 accounts, you're never going to catch it all, or maybe even what you're interested in catching. So when you create a list, you can arrange things by topic and then visit that list and just consume out of that particular news set or information set. So this I don't use them as widely on the Juice Plus Helper handle because I don't really use this handle to consume content, but I do use it on my personal handle. And so I've got a list for all the bands that I follow, and I've got a list of my local news anchors because I don't want to watch the local news because it's terrible, but my local anchors have something to say about my tax dollars and the state of the roads and all those kind of things, and I can consume it quickly and not waste half an hour of my life trying to watch their terrible programming. All the major news outlets, AP, CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, World News, that's a list. And so when I hop on Twitter, I can go to that list. I don't ever go to my home feed because it's just a mess of information. It's just shotgun scatter of information. So to find a list, to figure out a list, to create a list, I'm at my home profile here. All right, and let's go to lists. So first of all, you can subscribe to other people's lists, or you can create a list. A lot of people create public lists. But to create your first one, you can do create a new list, and whatever you want to name it. So let's name this one the news. And you can describe it if you want, and then you can make it public. So this is, I think, a pretty valuable potential asset that you could share with your team. And if you create a public list, everybody on your team could follow it. If you want something that only you care about, you can make a private list, and you can go follow, all the NHL teams or whatever. But just, you do that, boom, and your list is created. Now, when you go out and then you want to search for a topic, all right, we're live Twitter here. Who knows what's going to happen? All right, ABC News. So when you click on more, let's see. No, we need to go to the profile here. All right, and then the gear wheel, and you can do add or remove from list. So you don't even have to follow the account. You can just add it to a list, and then that way you can easily consume from that profile. Okay, so that's a cool consumption tool. The more interesting aspect of lists is this. Figure out if you're a member of somebody else's list. All right, here's how you do that. And you may or may not even know that you're a member of it. Your notifications told you at some point, but you might not have known what this meant. So when you are creating content, and especially, if the soundboard's tweeting for you every day, people are following you. But more people may be interested in your stuff than follow you, and they might put you on a list. Okay, so to figure out if you are a member of somebody else's list, you can do one of two things. One is you can go to your home screen and hit the lists button, and then hit member of. Okay, if you don't have this, it's possible that you don't have this. I don't know why, but I've seen some examples where some accounts don't, it just is not up here. Lists is not up here. Maybe it's because they haven't created one yet. If you want to figure out if you're a member of a list, type this. Type twitter.com/ your Twitter handle name / memberships. And this will bring up a list of all the lists that you are a member of. Okay, this is a loud message to you that these people care about what you have to say, regardless of whether or not they follow you, because they are putting you into a list of like-minded people. All right, so here we have been added to healthy recipes, drink more water, people who love whole food. I guess food wouldn't fit. Healthy one, healthy living, top culinary, healthy living friends. So the point is that just like we talked about how you can use Facebook groups to prospect, because that's kind of a warm network because you have like-minded people, here you have an amazing amount of people on Twitter that you can follow, that you can connect with, that you can engage with. And first and foremost, figure out who added you to the list. Okay, this is the admin of the list, the person who created it and added you. So figure out who that is, go talk to them, start a conversation with them, follow them, and then begin to ask them their ideas about how do they like to cook, what's their favorite health recipes. Start a conversation, because they've clearly already engaged with your profile enough to go out of their way to do this. So this is kind of like a roundabout way to find new people to engage with. So now we could go to this list. I keep having to move my little picture around here, and look at all the members of this list, and you can just go down this whole list and follow all these people. Now, you probably don't want to follow Russian accounts, but just take a glance. Promote important news on healthy lifestyle and sleep issues. Strong Mama Sleep. There you go. Boom. Follow, 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 follow. you can find an amazing amount of people within these lists who have been put on these lists because at some point they mentioned something to do with healthy recipes. Okay, so well, you can get the drift. Maybe not every single account on this list is going to be something that's valuable to engage with, but at some point they mentioned that topic. So lists, very powerful tool. You can also search Twitter for topics. So when you make a search, healthy living, sometimes lists come up here if you have a more button. You can play around with search and search for lists. So very cool, very powerful way to, again, engage with a potentially warm network on the platform. So, I know we're a minute early here. Unless anybody has any questions, I'll go ahead and say a bid adieu to everyone for the evening. Next week, we're going to talk about Instagram. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. We're going to talk about the ins and outs of how to best utilize Buffer with Soundboard and Hootsuite. So join us for that, and that will wrap up our 6-week class for Team Eagle. And again, all of these are recorded and on your Team Eagle Facebook group. And I will send this one to Guy, and it will be up there shortly. So don't see any questions coming through. So everybody have a good night. Say night, Rose and Daisy.
Good night. Night.
Good night.